Huawei has slowly been moving up the Android pecking order and has finally delivered a phone that may be worth considering if you're looking for something slightly different than what's being offered by the competition. It may not offer the latest bleeding edge specs, but with a €450 price point, we think it's worth taking a look at. I'm Nick Gray from Phandroid, and this is our review of the Huawei P9. The design of the Huawei P9 will look very familiar for those who have played around with last year's P8 or even the Nexus 6P. The body of the phone is made from a single piece of aluminum, with the usual polycarbonate antenna inserts and shallow chamfers along the edges of the phone, both on the front and back. The phone's fingerprint sensor is placed towards the center, but the back of the phone is dominated by the glass panel at the top, which houses the P9's two cameras and two-tone LED flash. While the other sides of the phone are pretty sparse, the bottom is cluttered up with a USB Type-C port, speaker grill, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Flipping the P9 over reveals the edge-to-edge 2.5D Gorilla Glass that covers the entire front of the phone. Huawei's logo is prominently placed below the 5.2-inch display, while at the top you'll find the front-facing camera and a thin speaker grill that houses the multicolor notification LED. The phone's aluminum and glass design is just as good as what you would expect from a Sony or HTC phone. It's clear that Huawei's design team has put a lot of extra effort to ensure the in-hand experience of the phone is just as refined as its minimalistic looks. As for specs, the Huawei P9 is equipped with a Kirin 955 processor, 3GB of RAM, 32GB of internal storage, and a microSD card slot. It also has a 5.2-inch 1080p display and two 12-megapixel cameras on the back. It also has an 8-megapixel front-facing camera and a 3000 mAh battery. If you're simply comparing specs, the 5.2-inch 1080p display on the P9 is inferior to the Quad HD panels found on competing devices, but we're not sure Quad HD is really necessary in a phone with a 5.2-inch display. The LCD panel does not fare well in direct sunlight, but it's more than adequate in indoors and offers impressive viewing angles. Benchmark numbers show that the Huawei P9 is not as fast as other flagship devices these days, but that doesn't mean the Kirin 955 used in the phone is a slouch. It's more than capable of keeping up with your daily tasks, multitasking, and gaming needs. Battery life on the P9 isn't going to set any records, but the non-removable 3000 mAh battery can average 13 to 14 hours, with 3 to 4 hours of screen-on time. If you're not a heavy user, you shouldn't be surprised if the battery life actually lasts 24 to 28 hours, making it through an entire day and night without needing a charge. The phone does support quick charging if you do need to charge up during the day, but you'll have to pony up some extra cash as Huawei decided to put in just a standard charger with the phone. And now to the main attraction. The Huawei P9 is equipped with a dual camera setup on the back, with a standard RGB and monochrome camera sensor. Both sensors capture images at 12 megapixels, but the data from the monochrome sensor is used to add more light to your images, allowing for a higher dynamic range image. This means items in dark areas in your images are more visible, and lighter areas are darkened up with more detail. The second sensor can be used to capture depth information, just like the HTC One M8 did back in the day, but the end result isn't much better than what HTC delivered. Changing the focal point after the fact or blurring out the background can be a lot of fun, but it's still just a gimmick. The cherry on top of the P9's camera experience is the new camera application, which was designed by Leica. It's intuitive and stylish and comes with a plethora of manual and preset camera modes. The overall image quality from the P9 isn't earth-shattering. There's still a lot of noise in images once the sun goes down, but the color accuracy and white balance are better than anything else we've seen so far in 2016. While there's a lot to like about the P9, the phone's software may actually be the one thing that turns people away. Huawei's EMUI skin makes Android look like a cheap iOS knockoff. This means that the default launcher doesn't include an application drawer. All your app icons have rounded corners, and the notification panel has a frosted glass background. Huawei did include a lot of customization options, but most of them are hidden so deep in the phone settings that you'll never be able to find them. I did appreciate the universal search function, which can be accessed by swiping down on the home screen, but I honestly recommend installing a third-party launcher if you're coming to the P9 from an HTC, LG, Sony, or even a Samsung phone. The Huawei P9 is not on the same level as the Samsung Galaxy S7, HTC 10, or LG G5, but it is pretty close. If you're looking for a phone that offers a unique camera experience and flagship level refinement at an incredible price, the Huawei P9 is definitely worth considering. Thank you for watching our review of the Huawei P9. A link to our full written review can be found in the description below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.